On a very warm Saturday, July 16th, 2016, United States Secretary of the Interior Sally Jewell came to Bluff, Utah to conduct a public meeting in order to hear opinions from a variety of people and sources regarding several proposals regarding land management issues that would affect the region. This meeting was the culmination of a 4-day visit to the region, during which Sally was accompanied by a variety of high-ranking federal officials, as well as local officials and media representatives. There were two principal proposals under consideration. The first was setting aside 1.9 million acres to become known as the Bears Ears National Monument. This proposal was backed and endorsed by a variety of conservation and environmental groups, as well as a coalition of Native Americans representing a variety of tribes. The second proposal is the Public Lands Initiative, otherwise known as PLI, which is a bill introduced to Congress during the course of Sally's visit, probably not coincidentally, and is backed by Utah government officials and strongly endorsed by many of the local residents in San Juan County. But there's also very strong local support for the monument proposal, which would protect the beauty of the Bears Ears region and the Cedar Mesa area, which is known not only for its natural beauty, but its vast cultural and archaeological resources. With that background, we'll proceed to some images and a video that I took to document the event. This handheld pan of the town is obviously affected by too much morning coffee, but shows a few of the initial preparations for the upcoming event. The Bluff Community Center was the focal point of everything. Opponents of the monument made an early appearance in the day and were busy erecting signs around the perimeter of the location. The Native American Coalition also had a very large presence and passed out free light blue t-shirts to all supporters of the monument who wished one. The community center property opened promptly at 9:30, and immediately a line started forming for those who wanted to be inside for the meeting, which didn't start till 1 o'clock. It was easy enough to tell who was who in the crowd. The PLI supporters wore brown t-shirts, and those in favor of the monument wore light blue t-shirts. It's estimated that 1,400 people turned out for the event, and by mid-morning there was a long line of people waiting to get inside the building. At registration, everyone had an opportunity to sign up for the lottery, which would determine which lucky few were able to actually stand up and voice their opinion during the meeting. Once inside, the space filled up quickly, and it became quite warm despite the air conditioning because it was 100 degrees outside. And it was still an hour and a half to go before the actual meeting itself would begin. Seated on the left here is the notorious Phil Lyman, one of these San Juan County commissioners, who is famous for his vitriolic opposition to anything federal and for leading an armed ATV ride into a closed BLM area in Recapture Canyon, which earned him a short time in jail. My unscientific estimate is that roughly 80% of the people attending the meeting were in favor of the monument and include these distinguished supporters. Once the meeting itself actually began, it wasn't possible to get much more video, but a few of Sally Jewell's opening remarks are included here.
Here since Wednesday, so for the last 4 days, representatives from the Utah congressional delegation have been with me. I want to thank them very much for participating, as well as the governor's office that has had a representative on this entire trip. I also want to recognize that there are a number of federal officials, not just on stage, but in the audience. I want to thank you for your good work in serving the American people. I likewise want to acknowledge and thank the local elected officials at every level and the tribal leaders for being here, for serving your constituents, and for the thoughts and wisdom that you've shared with me over the course of the last 4 days. We have a variety of different groups, 3 different county commissions, Emory County, Grant County, and San Juan County. And all of those meetings have been very, very helpful to further my understanding of the issues.
The meeting lasted from 1 o'clock until 4:30 in the afternoon. And for the bulk of this time, Sally and her fellow officials just sat and listened. There were a variety of invited speakers, as well as the community speakers who had won a spot from the lottery. Each speaker had 2 minutes to speak, and they were held quite rigidly to this, and for the most part, everything went very smoothly. On the day following the meeting in Bluff, the Sunday edition of the Salt Lake Tribune had an extensive article covering the events of the previous day. In it were a number of photographs, including the 2 which are shown here, which are credited to Scott Summerdorf of the newspaper. Early on Saturday morning, prior to the meeting, our good friend and outdoor guide, Vaughn Haydenfeld, took Sally and her entourage on a hike to Procession Panel in order for her to see firsthand some of the glories of the Cedar Mesa area. Being in the presence of Vaughn and being in such a powerful location atop Combe Ridge, it's impossible to think that Sally couldn't have been greatly impressed by her experience. We are all optimistic that before the end of his term, President Barack Obama will create the Bears Ears National Monument.